Morning, church. Today we hear words passed down through generations from the book of Hebrews. Let us listen to these words of the Spirit. And let us consider how to provoke one another to love and good deeds, not neglecting to meet together, as is the habit of some, but encouraging one another, and all the more as you see the day approaching. Hear what the Spirit is saying.
It's a beautiful day in this neighborhood, a beautiful day for a neighbor. Would you be mine? Could you be mine? It's a neighborly day in this beauty wood, a neighborly day for a beauty. Would you be mine? Could you be mine? I have always wanted to have a neighbor just like you. I've always wanted to live in a neighborhood with you. So let's make the most of this beautiful day. Since we're together, we might as well say, would you be mine? Could you be mine? Won't you be my neighbor? Won't you please? Won't you please? Please won't you be my neighbor?
Good morning, neighbor. It is good to see you on this day. On this gray day. It's gray outside today. But whenever I get to see with you, whenever I'm in your presence, whenever we get a chance to be in the same space, you make my day just a little bit brighter. And I give thanks for that. That's something so very special. And I hope you get to say that often to people that you care about. That whenever they're in the same space as you, they bring light to your life. I'm going to go feed the fish now. This is Pearl Queen. And Pearl Queen needs to make sure that she is fed from time to time. She's growing bigger every day. Mr. Rogers once received a letter from a young girl named Katie. And Katie was worried because she wasn't sure that Mr. Rogers was feeding the fish, and she didn't want the fish to die. You see, Katie was blind, and she couldn't tell whenever Mr. Rogers was going over to feed the fish. So every day thereafter, he made sure whenever he went over to feed the fish, he'd say, "I'm going to feed the fish now," so that Katie felt that she was part of the community. You see, that was one of the key things that Mr. Rogers saw as important. Inviting people in to make sure that they felt like they were a part of something going on. Rather than just feeling like they were on the outside or missing out on something, Mr. Rogers was constantly bringing people in. He saw his neighborhood as inclusive, which meant that everybody needed to be a part of it. No matter where they came from or where they were going, Mr. Rogers invited them in because he saw the value in being kind to others and in the hopes of that they would show kindness to others as well. In fact, he would often lift up people who might have been a little bit different, people who might have been pushed off to the side. I can remember one episode where he brought in a young man who knew how to break dance. Now, this was back in the 80s when breakdancing was just starting to take off. And he taught Mr. Rogers how to pop and lock. And he tried it. He tried it. There are still videos online of what that looked like. Now, was it the most fluid thing out there? Absolutely not. But he invited him to do that so that he could understand what it meant to dance, as well as lift up that young gentleman who was probably talked down to because of what he liked, to make sure that he was a part of the community as well. Mr. Rogers, throughout his ministry, because he was an ordained minister within the Presbyterian Church, throughout his ministry, he was always looking to lift up people who were sometimes different. He praised strong girls, and he praised boys who were kind. Now, strong girls today and kind boys today are people who use what they're good at. They share where their excitement is. So much so that he was hoping that by building a neighborhood where we would see the gifts within people, this neighborhood would catch roots in all the different places that we would go. I can remember one episode when I was very young where Mr. Rogers invited one of his neighborhood friends in. He had a lot of neighborhood friends. There's Mr. McFeely, who would come and deliver the mail and share something every single week from a letter, like from Katie, that he would read online. And he also had another friend, Officer Clemens, who would come by and they would talk about what it meant to take care of the community. One episode in particular, I remember that there was a pool that was just out front of his house that he filled with water. And he invited Officer Clements to come over and sit down and dip their toes in the pool together. Now, on a hot day, that would have felt fantastic, right, neighbors? Yeah, that would have felt really nice. But there was a message behind why he did this. You see, at this time, in different parts of our country, there were people who weren't allowed to go in public pools. And those people couldn't go in public pools because of the color of their skin. In this episode, Officer Clements, who was black, dipped his toes into the pool with Fred Rogers, who was white, to let everybody know who was within the community that nothing bad was going to happen. And this was just an opportunity for two friends to come together, to share in what it meant to cool themselves off on a hot day and see each other as equals in God's eyes. For some people, when they're growing up, adults throw praise on them, right? I hope that somebody has praised you at some point in your life because they saw something good within you. But sometimes that praise can mean different things. So that if you go up to somebody and say, wow, they are a good leader. But how much can that change by saying, wow, they are bossy? When children show the gifts that are within them, it's important for us to lift them up. It's important for us to see the good that's within them. Because as we get older as adults, sometimes we forget what that praise can look like. And to know that people have loved us in the past. You see, as people within this neighborhood, we are always on the we are always looking out to see who is in our neighborhood. Who is our neighbor? Like we talked about last week. But to be in a neighborhood is to recognize who is around you and who you want to call neighbors. You know, when we're kids, it's a little bit easier to see who our neighbors are because we don't have our memories clouded with how we've been hurt by people in the past, or how people have treated us, or how society has conditioned us to think about others. So that as we get older, we might be a little bit more cautious, or in some cases, a little bit more judgmental about who people are. I mean, take that pool example. Years ago, people would say, you can't swim in the pool with us because you look different from us. Those same communities, not all of them, but some, took it so personally that instead of letting other people who looked different from them swim in their swimming pools, they would close those swimming pools down. And then they would fill them in so that nobody could swim in those swimming pools. And then because there were no swimming pools for people to go and swim in, you had to go to specific places that you needed to be a member of in order to go swimming. We lost a lot because of that. We lost the opportunity to see the good that was within other people. We lost the opportunities to grow in connections and see how we were different from others, but also exactly the same. We lost ways to have fun in the summer. All because some adults thought that other people weren't safe. In Mr. Rogers' neighborhood, he saw past the things that divide us from one another, and he saw the good that was within all people. In this passage of Scripture that Phil read for us this morning, it's inviting us to love each other on top of love and to love them more, to see them as God's gifts to us, to know that everybody we come in contact with who's in our neighborhood is created in God's image, and that in those places we're asked to treat them with kindness and respect, to see the gifts that they have within them, and to lift them up, to ask them to teach us how to do things, even if we look silly while doing it, to recognize that there is good within all people, and that within the neighborhoods that we are trying to create, there is good, even when people say there is bad within them. Because for some people, they've tried many times, to get closer to others. But they've been pushed away because they talk different, or they eat different foods, because they share things that sometimes make us feel uncomfortable, or we've run into people like them before and we don't want to give them a chance. Mr. Rogers saw those people as whole and holy. He saw them as God's gifts and invited us to see that within them as well. You see, friends, neighborhoods are meant to be loud. They're meant to be messy. As much as we want everything to be pristine and perfect, each of us know that we are not perfect. But with the help of others, we're able to create something together that looks more like God's creation. I wonder what it would look like for you this week to lift somebody up who has been pushed away in the past. I wonder what it would look like for you to be brave and to love somebody who hasn't experienced love before. Now, love comes in a lot of different ways. It comes through acts of kindness. It comes from a hug when people want a hug. But it also comes from seeing that person as a real person. A person who has had real experiences. Now, for some of us, we think that if somebody is in need, all we need to do is give them some charity or to help them out. And I think for some people, they absolutely need that. But I think for a great majority of people, it's also seeing the gifts that are within them, pulling them out, and allowing them to share that with us. Like the young man who taught Mr. Rogers how to pop and lock. Like the conversations Mr. Rogers had with Officer Clements. Like the ways Katie showed us that sometimes people need to be brought in to be a part of the neighborhood. I mean, how cool is it to have your letter read on air? Think about how important that was for Katie to be seen, and then for Mr. Rogers to welcome her in as well. So this week, friends, I encourage you to see the gifts that are already within the neighborhood, to not see them as hindrances, to not see them as barriers, but to see them as people, real people. People who have real feelings, who want to get to know others. People who are tired of not being seen or heard. And to recognize that they are God's gifts. God's gifts to us. To see what true creation can look like. Not just the creation we've created in our head, but the creation that God has shown us through each and every one. So I hope you would value people this week. To know that sometimes people will need our help. And to share that help as much as we can. But not to see them as helpless. And to grant within them a spirit of belonging so that they can share that with others. And see that this neighborhood is not gated. It's not a private club, but is open to all people. Amen.